We'll start the meeting.
You can motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approval of minutes of July
I
5th.
move for approval as presented from July 6, 23.
Second. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from July 6th, 23. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Comment. Public comment?
Well, that's nice. We got a lot of people and no comments.
Don't see any
I don't know, I can tell
supervisors.
you.
I guess we'll go with the update of the absent Mr. Netherland. Has he got somebody else reporting for him, or is he?
So he didn't ask me to report, but I can, in as much as you're probably aware that the decision on the Stour Trail arrived, 268 pages for the one decision and 160 some for the other opinion. Bottom line is right now, no horses or snowmobiles. We'll be discussing the matter more extensively in closed session at the county board meeting. I don't know, Don, anything else do you think Vince would wanna? So that's probably about it. He's out this week. He'll be back next week.
Nothing in plain English that we can understand.
My brain hurts from reading the decision. I can certainly email it to you. I did. I think
Yeah.
I blind copied all the supervisors when we
But I
got it.
don't have that email, that's why. I said so.
Okay, is there another email I can send it to, or
Shelley's got an email, but
why don't I print it for you and I'll find you and give it to you in hard
I
copy?
would appreciate it
Okay,
there.
but it does have a summary at the end.
Not all of it.
Go to the last page, John. It's a lot easier. I started reading it too.
Yeah, I just want a couple comments.
Okay, so I'll give you the executive summary portion. of it.
There.
I'm up to page 2 and memorizing the damn thing.
I'll test you on that later.
My memory is very good.
Just as a summary, wasn't there, did this start out with some lower judges and then went up to a higher judge?
No, this is just at the circuit court level, just Judge Black, who was assigned to this case. He's from St. Croix County, so this is not a Court of Appeals decision. This was the first step.
When do we have to have an appeal?
45 days if they file a notice of entry of judgment. They haven't done that yet. If they don't do it, then we have 90 days, which is why it's going to be on the county board agenda this month. And Matt Tome and Andy Phillips will be, or one or the other or both will be joining us for that closed session.
Who will be there? I didn't quite get.
Matt and Andy, the attorneys from the
Oh, yeah.
WC, yeah.
Sure, Andy's our county association attorney.
Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Very disappointing anyway.
Any questions for our absent administrator there? Seeing none, we'll move on to more Norby's report.
Yes, Mr. Chair, be updating you a little bit on projects, the budget, and then I did hand out the two bridge proposals for the bridge in Blackbrook and the bridge in Lincoln County for scoring the RFQs.
Lincoln Town,
Lincoln Town.
not that big
Township.
yet.
So if you guys could score these and get them back to me to the highway shop by next Thursday, would be appreciated. You can either hand deliver them to the highway shop or scan them to me in an email. That's fine too. So that's coming. These were the bridges that got 100% funding on there. Other projects happening right now, County Road B, the bridge in Atlas has been removed. They are pouring the west abutment this week. So that's underway and that road is closed. County Road K, that bridge has been pushed to the middle of August for a start date. I do not have a date for a pre-con on that one. This week we are chip sealing the highway. We're chip sealing 35 on Monday and we'll be fog sealing 35 from Stokely Road south to north of Centuria. So we'll be applying oil and there'll be traffic delays on that one. Today we finished Milltown G out to 46 and are working on County W right now and finishing up County Double J tomorrow, and 2 streets for the town, the village of Balsam Lake. We'll do that one. Crews are out right now. We got the bathrooms removed at DD Kennedy, making that replacement. The new bathroom should be coming in the 3rd week of August. So that'll have new restroom facilities at that location. The Justice Center roof, we anticipate about 2 to 3 weeks that project should be closing up. So that's getting close to its due date. The Government Center project remodel, we are still waiting on our switchgear for electrical items. The stairwells to be completed, so we have some tie-up issues on that one. State Highway 65, they should have mainline surface completed by the end of the week. Following up the next 3 weeks with shouldering, guardrails, and edge line striping and rumble strips. So that project is ahead of schedule right now, so that's working very well. On the bigger scope of things, the County Road F Federal project for 2026, that operational planning meeting is set for August 9th. That's from 65 to View Lane. The bridge for the town of Lorraine and the bridge for County Road H, that operational planning meeting I've scheduled for August 24th at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. So those are in process and moving forward, going forward with that. So then an update on the budget, where we're going right now. You want to bring that up, Claire? Next slide. Last month I handed out our preliminary budget, working with you with the CIPs, what we're looking for extra funding request. Since then, we've been in talks with administration, Don and Vince, on how we're going to fund this and how we're going to separate out these funds. Again, keeping in mind our priority of infrastructure, parks and trails, and investing in those. So the facilities capital expenses here. Install the security glass at the Justice Center. That was a request by the judges. Replace the ACU in the CISA building. A recycling truck for $150. Replace the boilers in the CISA building. Those 2 items for the CISA building, those are end of life. You know, those are critical for replacement on those. The replacement of the skid loader with a tool cat, that's a facility piece of equipment that'd be more in tune with what we need versus a skid steer around here. That gives us more diversity on doing our projects. Replacing 1 parks truck. I skipped over, installed new restrooms and septic and water at the Apple River Campground. That's right now is $90,000. We have a grant in that. That's a $180,000 project. This is our matching section of it. We have that right now scheduled to come out of the Line Core money. That was the investment in there, so it won't impact us on our budget line item. If we do not get our grant for that, we find out in August if we get that grant. If we don't get it, we will defer that project till next year and apply for another grant for it. So it's not a critical job that we do on that one. Replace and repair the show barn roof. The ask on that was $75,000. We found another process to do that at $35,000, give us a 20-year warranty on that roof and secure that roof back. And again, upgrade lightings at the fairgrounds, starting the process to upgrade the lights to LED lights at fairgrounds. So right now we have that separated out between 3 different funds. Act 19 is the shared revenue. That's part of that 566,000 coming from the governor. The share coming Public Works, Public Safety Division is approximately 250,000. So we cover these 3 items underneath the shared revenue. The line fund would do the project there, and we bond for these items on the right there at the 605. Next slide. The capital equipment for the highway fund. We got a patch trailer, a CRS2 tank that's replacing our tank for spray patching, a mower, air compressor, plow trucks, a supervisor truck, and a crew truck. That's 697,000. That comes out of our equipment fund within our highway fund. So as we go through our audit, and if the auditor says our equipment made $800,000, or $900,000 that year, then it's kind of up to my discretion on what I feel comfortable spending the next year, if we're gonna spend on that fund or where we're gonna be. So this is where we landed at the highway for the capital. That's within the budget of the highway department. Next slide. Highway capital projects. These are the ones slated for 2024. The County Road B1, that's from State Highway 35 to Atlas. That was that BIL, that bipartisan infrastructure legislation money. That is our cost share for that $4.4 million project. And that was advanced up through the state to be moved from 26 to 24. So that's a must for us. Our normal budget for highway for construction is right around $2 million, 2.1. The reason you see it here at 2.4 is we have $393,000 LRIP grant to help offset that for County Road Double J. And that's the one running north from Clear Lake. That'll be pulverized and paved next year. So as an investment, we looked at what to do. $700,000. Can we bond for that much, helping offset those costs? And then going into the highway fund, $500,000. Right now, in our fund balance, we're carrying right at $3 million. So that's a safe number for us to draw down to. It may be less than that if we get more revenue coming in next year. The towns will really offset this year because of the heavy winter. I expect more work next year from the towns, hoping that we won't have such a drastic winter. But splitting up the bonding this way keeps us and the levy steady. We don't go on that up and down with the levy and bonding for new construction. It keeps our debt service stable and our levy stable for our residents. So working with administration, we've applied all these different funding sources to come into a balanced budget and not affect our levies like we had. So that's where we stand right now with the budget. I don't know if we're gonna, the other slides are in there.
This quick. I could. This is just a recap of where the funds are.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Give me those B numbers again, what's the total project cost?
It's right around 4.4 million.
And I can't see that number there. Is it
847,660. Right now, that's what's estimated off our contract with the state as being the local share. And again, that's one of those projects that we pay out. We may get bills for that project for 6 years, but typically the main construction will get the main bill for that one. And that one does not have our forces working, where these other projects create revenue as we're running our equipment and our guys on those ones. That's a flat out cost share for us on B.
good deal? A lot of money, but we want to do that project for a long time.
It's well needed.
Yeah.
We got the culverts replaced ahead of time here. They're ready to go, so we should end up with a really good product on that.
Mr. Chair, make a comment while he's up there.
You bet.
I don't know if this is the right time. I got a couple calls and really wound up about them tree hills, suicide hills on Highway 65. And I said, hey, wait a minute. I said, that's the state. I said, I've been campaigning on that for years. When I go to a meeting, they don't even introduce John Bonaparte, they Mr. Highway 65. And I realized, you can only do so much. And then if they got to put more money, then they delay or cancel the project. So they didn't do it, and we still got 3 suicide hills.
They have worked within the mix they have and stuff to try to help a little bit on those hills, filling in a little bit of the bottom as they.
I haven't been now. Has it done anything?
It rides very nice right now. It's not as abrupt as you would think, but they have tried to correct it as much as they
Couple
could. with the mix.
construction companies called me and they were upset.
Next slide. Next slide.
So just to piggyback off of Mo's here real quick for capital expenditures. A couple of things we're gonna ask for in 2024. Our tasers are 6 years old and the manufacturer recommends replace them after 5 years. So they found that there's eventually defects that occur after 5 years. They just get wore out because you daily test them every day you work. So we're asking for new tasers. The 35,000 is a 5-year contract where you pay them $5,000 or $35,000 a year. And that covers the cost of tasers, every component that involves in the tasers. There's a cartridge and batteries and training and all that. So it covers that for 5 years, but they charge us 35 grand a year. The dispatch councils. So with the next gen 911 grant that we received, we found out with the new equipment that's coming in, there's new monitors, extra monitors that we have to have. So we have to reconfigure the workstations for our dispatchers. Now they're 20 some years old, desks are wore out. They like the stand-up desk and only 1 or 2 of them work now. The other one quit working. So they want to get some new consoles in there, new office equipment, and it's reconfigure it. So there's 4 stations instead of 3, because we're hoping to add more personnel in our dispatch center. The jail check system, that's for checking our corrections officers checking on the inmates periodically. They'll track all the records. We had that jail suicide last year, and then the jail inspector said that one thing that we could have done better is maybe just had a little newer technology. Our technology is quite old for checking on inmates, checking their welfare and everything else. It also checks meds, so when we give them a med, they'll enter that information. It reminds the jailer that, hey, you need to check on this inmate and different things like that. So it was one of the things that the jail inspector said we could do a little bit better. He didn't say it was bad. It was just one of those things we could do better. So it's about 10 to 15 grand a year. It's a service contract. So those are the things we're looking at. And again, out of the Act 19 money, we're looking to keep that as cover our operational costs versus our capital improvement items. So we're asking the bond for those items.
So how many years do you think those tasers should last?
It lasts about 5 years. I mean, every day you got a spark test, what they call a spark test. So you got to make sure it's functioning every day you work. You got to turn it on and then let it do the zapping.
Who all has?
Our correction staff, our patrol staff, all have them. So we have about 43 of them, I believe. 43, 45, somewhere in there. So.
I think in Minnesota, they don't use them. They just shoot them.
Well, and we're not asking, I mean, they got several different models. We're not asking for the most. One of them is like a firearm. It uses gunpowder and it's got 10 rounds you can shoot at the thing.
Well, they demonstrated us a few years ago where you hit the floor.
Yeah. Any gentlemen wishing to try it out, by all means, we'll accommodate you. So.
Free demonstration.
Yep, free demonstrations.
I'll pass.
Any questions? Any questions?
Good job.
There another slide there, Don, that you wanted to go over or no?
I think that's it, because sheriff, these are the sum of the sheriff's capital, so.
Okay.
All from one category. Thank you, Don.
Any other questions for Mo or Don? Move on to Sheriff Walk.
Just to elaborate on what Don was saying about the jail checking. Currently, we have what's known as the pipe. It's this little metal pipe they walk around and they touch and it verifies that they've checked the cell. It's slow to recover the data. It's labor intensive to go back in the system and recover the data. Now the systems they have, it's like you carry like what looks like a cell phone around. And if you're late on a cell check, it's going to start blinking at you, telling you you're late for a cell check. So we're going to have much more accountability. And that's a liability reduction if we can have guaranteed good cell checks and we're physically checking on the inmates. And, from time to time, certain things happen back there where you get distracted, you have a crisis, you can get behind on cell checks. So this is going to alert the staff. And it's just a much newer, better system. So realistically, that's a small amount of money for the leap forward in technology, what that is. That's 15,000, I believe we are asking for that. Just to touch on a few things that have been going on, we just completed the Polk County Fair. We had a lot of really great outreach. In fact, I saw many of you at the fair. I talked with Don Wortham at the fair, in fact, and I saw Mr. Warrendahl walking around, but I didn't get a chance to talk, but wildly successful. We're blessed to live in an area that has such a good fair. And for law enforcement, we had very little activity. We did have an impaired driver on Friday night that we arrested, someone leaving the fair. They were intoxicated, but otherwise just the minor usual stuff, a few bee stings, some medical stuff. And our plan is to meet with the fair board in September and maybe do an after action. As you know, we did evacuate the fair on Thursday. Well, we didn't. The fair, the safety plan was put in place and they evacuated the fair due to a weather issue on Thursday. So I'm kind of excited to sit down and just see if there's things we need to modify, what worked, what can be better. So we're going to reach out, and Lisa McMahon through emergency management will facilitate getting that meeting together. So I think we're going in the right direction with that. I think everybody had a great time at the fair. I know I put a lot of hours in and it's fun to see everybody. We did have our 6th fatal last week on Highway 8. We averaged 10 per year. It's unfortunate. It's the tragedies of rural highway driving. We've lost a lot of really good people this year on our roads.
But that on Highway 8,
What's that?
was that the one where the truck was involved?
No, that was the one just prior. We had the one by, I think it was by Deer Lake Sports.
Yeah, he was attempting to make a turn and was rear-ended.
I will just mention in the one involving the semi truck, you know, the standard now, a lot of semi trucks have cameras on their dashes. And so our fatal was covered by camera, was the entire accident was captured. So it's pretty, as an investigative tool, it's fantastic, but as trauma to, you know, I mean, I feel for the family, but it does give us the answers when we can see it unfold on camera. So I was pretty shocked to actually see that, but I think as a tool, knowing these commercial motor vehicles are running with dash cameras on, I think that's pretty good. It's going to enhance safety and keeps the truck drivers, I think, cognizant of following the rules. I handed out the drug numbers just to touch in June, roughly one a month. We had 17 felony arrests and 13 misdemeanors for drugs. And again, middle of the week, Tuesday was the busier, you know, you'd think it'd be Friday, Saturday, but it was a Tuesday this time.
It's a Polk County payday.
There you have it. It's our payday, right? You know, I'll just say this, you know, with our staffing, this is our busy season. So I expect these numbers to be slightly lower because honestly, our deputies are busy chasing call to call to call to just go out and dedicate to finding drugs. It's harder and harder because our staff is stretched further. We've had a couple police departments in our county that are really short-staffed and haven't even been able to provide coverage on a weekend. So that falls on our shoulders, you know, so we're stretched even thinner. So once we get into September and our busy season tapers off a bit, I think we'll see an increase in our drug interdiction. It's just that you can only do so much with so many people. So I think that is a factor. I intended on having a canine come in. Our one canine is off at National Guard training and our other one was not available today. So I will try next month to bring our canine, one of the canines, and introduce you to the dogs. You know, we're very fortunate. We have 2 new dogs. So they're the same breed. They're a Malinois Shepherd cross. So I think it'll be a nice thing to see. It's a good tool. And I think that will make it vital to this stat sheet. I think we're going to see a big uptick now that we got our canines out there. I know we did work some interdiction in July. The casino had a big concert, so I know our drug task force came out and we had quite a few stops and quite a few results. So we'll see that next month. Tonight is our Sheriff's Night Out. It's a community event and I invite all of you to attend tonight. It's at 5 o'clock in the parking lot of the Justice Center. We'll serve you a hot dog and some chips and a pop. And we encourage our community to come out and see what we're all about. So if you have time tonight, feel free to stop in and bring grandkids, relatives, friends, whoever you would like. We look forward to a good event tonight.
I was there last year and everybody should try and make it if we can. It was just awesome.
Yeah,
Especially to see all the kids and the way you guys had treats for all the kids. It's the best thing I ever saw.
yeah, it is a good community event. And it's much like the fair. We spend a lot of time at the fair, but we really view it as an opportunity to maybe recruit somebody. Some kid may see our booth at the fair and think highly of us and pursue a career in law enforcement. So that's kind of always our goal. Same with our sheriff's night out tonight. The goal is just to leave a positive impact on people in the community and get support for our law enforcement.
Big change.
Those cameras that are in them trucks, do they have enough clarity where you can see if the driver that say crosses the line or whatever has their head up or down, or, I mean, or is it just kind of indicate the basics of the?
It's the basics, but I would suspect that an analysis person could maybe enhance video to get, we were able to take one of the vehicles in that crash, blow it up and kind of get the logo on the side. And we put out a Facebook trying to identify that vehicle. And within 3 hours, we identified who that semi truck belonged to. We had a non-contact vehicle that went by at the same time in that crash. And we wanted to get a statement from them. So we put it out on Facebook, and the pictures from that, we were able to stop the video and grab the image off there, and someone saw it right away and said, well, that's so-and-so. So we were very fortunate, but that's amazing technology. It's pretty impressive.
Mo, being we're talking about drugs, could you enlighten the committee what happened to a couple of flaggers as far as contaminated water? And
There was down in Chicago on the pipeline down there, there was 2 flaggers that were handed water bottles during a hot period while they were flagging, and they were laced with fentanyl. One flagger succumbed to the drug, and the other one was in serious condition in the hospital last I knew.
Yeah.
But there was a fatality in that incident. So you must be wearing, just someone handed a random bottle of water.
Another great Chicago story here. I mean, I like I say, we're fortunate here. And I can share a story about that. The impact that's had is someone did want to offer some water to one of the utility crews in the county, and now they're told they can't take any water from any strangers. But our way of life up here, people typically have a kind heart and want to walk out and give you a bottle of water on a hot day. So it's unfortunate. Unfortunately, there's enough fentanyl in this country to kill every person in America. That's how much fentanyl has crossed our border in the last 2 years. So it's scary. I mean, it's poison. Don't kid yourself. This is a poison. And you just don't know what's, I made a traffic stop last month on a car that fled from Walmart after a shoplifting incident. And, the driver admitted he's a fentanyl addict, and I immediately had to be careful on what I was touching in the vehicle. And it's just part of doing business today. You got to think everything you may come in contact with could be contaminated, at least in our line of work.
Just one quick. Go ahead. It isn't really a question. It's more of a compliment of your department and the Polk County officers up in the Luck area when we had the Lucky Days incident.
Yep.
I was on my way in and my family left because of the storm coming in, but we don't stay for the motorcycle thing anyway. But it sounded like quite a involved operation. We only hear a whole bunch of rumors, going around. And then I read the paper and saw the officers doing their jobs.
Nope, and that's in our comfort zone. Believe it or not, a biker fight with guns is something that our people do extremely well with. It's a disturbance, and they separate everybody and get the information. And we're fortunate that it wasn't any type of a shooting incident, because tempers were flaring and it could have easily escalated to that. So there has been a lot of chaos around us this year, and knocking on wood, I hope it stays away. But we handle pretty much any of those circumstances quite well. But
It's wonderful.
I will certainly pass that on to our staff. I know people are always quick to criticize law enforcement, and we don't often get a lot of praise. So thank you.
The minute they say guns, it seems like everywhere else they're used.
Yeah.
You handled it. I just think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
questions? Thank you.
Do you have any head count on the fair? How much did Thursday really hurt?
How much what?
Did you have any total head count on the fair? We usually run 40 something.
I heard from the Bone Lake Lutheran booth that they had a record night on Friday and Saturday, so.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Thursday was a rain out, so you would think it would be a little down, but I think people made up for it on Friday and Saturday, because it seemed as busy as it's ever been. The cars were parked as far as you could see in that field where they park them on the east side.
Yeah, they were. Saturday night, they were way down on the end.
Yep, it was a good event.
What they did was anybody that bought a wristband on Thursday and couldn't use it, put a Facebook note out and had them come on Friday and they let them use the band then. So that, made up for it. We probably brought quite a few more people in on Friday. Okay, Supervisor Rowdy, you're up with the update on the ATV UTV ad hoc committee.
Just a quick follow-up is the biggest, I guess, Rod and the clubs were talking about one of the biggest issues they are dealing with is they can't get response from the DNR to work on their projects. No answers almost whatsoever. And they're trying to upgrade. I think we did this last month, but they're still working together to upgrade the southern trails, which would be down in the Cattail area and Sawmill. And then there's a new trail down there that does it go east and west? Is that what I've got in my head?
Yeah, for the snowmobile club.
Yeah, but they were just talking about the ATV, UTVs, that what they're gonna do in these spots where they wash out so bad. And Rod's suggestion was or maybe Mike, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was Mike's to
Mike's
add rock to it.
To add rock to it because they're dealing with these almost every rainfall. So that's really it. I go back to this all the time, but to see the interaction between the county and the council, that's how things move along, I'm sure, for you to get stuff done. So thank you all.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working.
Any questions for Doug? Okay, moving on to CJCC update.
So in July, we had one person in first-time offender, one referral and one graduation. Our intoxicated driver intervention program had 10 participants, 2 new referrals, 2 graduations, and 1 termination. Substance diversion, we had 2 participants and 1 new referral. Treatment court, we had 8 participants. We had 2 new referrals just at the end of July. We're still working on the 6 from June because for some of those people, we're still waiting on some of their court cases to wrap up where they get treatment court as part of their conviction. So we will potentially be having up to 8 people starting in the next month or so for treatment court. And we had 0 graduations or terminations. And then the state just released the pre-application for our treatment and diversion grant that we get every year, and that covers most of our programs. And so that process is starting for me this week, and that is due the middle of the month. So it's a quick turnaround on that. And then our next graduation for treatment court will most likely be November or December.
You seem to be one of our most successful grant people.
Well, I give Don and Lisa credit for that because they had this grant up and going before I even started a year and a half ago, so. So now we're just continuing on with that success.
Okay, any questions or comments? Hearing none, the next item is annual reports.
Any reports are not ready yet. We're still waiting on the final numbers from the auditor. Plug those in for 2022, so try to hold that for next month.
Okay. Reviewing possible action regarding the 2024 fee schedule. Got that.
Do you want to touch on that, Don, or you want me to?
Everybody's
Yeah,
looking
why-
at you, Don.
What's that?
Everybody's looking at you.
I can give you a general update. So we'd like to get the fee schedule in front of the full board on the 15th of this month. It would normally go through general government the day before. We're very packed up in August. Not much time between the general government meeting and the full board. We're anticipating it popping up to the level of the full budget. We're anticipating a challenging budget year. And at the most recent general government committee, we had a discussion with the committee about whether it would be reasonable to look at requesting the departments look at fees and consider raising them in proportion to the inflation that they're experiencing. So that wasn't a directive, that was a suggestion to departments. Some departments are looking at this, some are not. The idea is to obviously, we don't want to overcharge for our fees, but we do want to recover our costs. Last year, the rate of inflation was around 9%. Right now, it's running about 3.5%. I was just doing the calculations. In 2023, the last budget year, of the 441 fees we got, we lowered 4 of them. We raised 63. That's about 1 out of 7 fees we raised. So it's been a while for many of the fees in terms of taking a close look. We just asked departments to do that. Again, because we're looking at a challenging budget season. I don't know where Mo is specifically or Rod with any fees that they might have, but that's just the general picture that we got.
Yeah, the only fees, as far as the Polk work side, the only fees that we looked at increasing was the utility fees from $50 to $75 for utility fees, and that would cover our costs that we're losing currently in our projections and our actual costs. The other fees maintained where they needed to be at the recycling center, and our park fees are in line. What's helping us in our park fees right now is our online reservation system we have now, that they go online and they have to reserve and pay for those campsites at Apple River right away. We're seeing our revenues double so far this year at that point, and that's been incorporated now into the 2024 budget as more revenue. So the revenues that were, the fees that were handed out before be stable.
You mentioned recycling center. Did work started on that? I don't hear anything.
No, work is not started right now. The AIA contract is in corporate council, just reviewing the contract with the addendums sent in yesterday for Joe to review. Hammer right now is just securing their numbers with their subcontractors. So as soon as that contract's signed, we'll be going here shortly.
August?
Yeah, sometime in August, we'll hopefully start some work on it.
Okay, anything else related to fees, schedule? Review our work plan. I think it's pretty much in order.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question there?
You go right ahead, John.
Well, I guess my question is on the work plan. I don't know if this fits in so good, but I hear all this on the street about our administrator resigning, but I don't know. Everybody asked me about it. Anybody, Willie or anybody got any update on What's all happening?
Well, he resigned. We got a letter of resignation allowing us 6 months to replace him.
We got 6 months.
Yeah,
6
he's
months, that was
staying
his
through the end of the year.
Okay.
And so we were working on a process for recruitment, internal and external. So that hopefully we'll have a solid replacement before that time, so we can.
We've got a date for internal applications. And then after that, we're going to expose it, or enter it out into the world, so to speak.
Will this be pretty much on the executive or full board?
Well, it's ultimately it'll be pretty much on the executive committee. It's the way it's been. I think we get full recommendation from the executive, if I remember right, and then it is approved by the full board, like any other appointment.
Reason why I asked is, everybody knows about it, it's in the paper, but don't know what to say. And all I can say, well, I heard he resigned and
Oh, no, it was,
I think,
I think
John, you
you-
had to leave.
Yeah, you left the meeting, John.
oh, that's where the void
you
was,
went
yeah.
yeah, I couldn't, because it was announced.
So at the last meeting
Yeah, you
after I
left,
left.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
well,
right.
Thanks for bringing me up to date on that. And glad I had a chance to ask the question.
Oh. I was a little surprised you asked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think there's anything on our work plan related to that, just executive committee.
No, not
For
now,
now,
no.
thank
keep
you.
the process moving. Any subject matters for the next meeting? Anybody?
Mr. Chair, I should probably give a little report on the meetings that I attended for the Wisconsin counties. We had 2 resolutions from Sheriff's Department. I entered from all the 5 committees, I introduced 6 resolutions to go to the legislative convention in September. They all got passed unanimously. The one on
Why don't you bring them and have them put it on the
well, I
agenda
took-
so we
yeah,
can
I
have
took-
it
I took-
properly
took
addressed, rather than just comment on stuff that isn't on the agenda.
The one from the
Understand.
sheriff's department was on funding like 33.5 cents for rural fire and EMT and that, especially all the border ones there's a lot of them merging and some of them are just plain closing up. And so that passed unanimously. What it is to award 33.5 cents per capita per county resident to go to fire EMS and help those departments. And the funding source would be the budget surplus. That's pretty important, all of us really. I kind of thought that was the main one. A lot of talk about the revenue sharing, Dr. Mose, and revenue sharing is all said as a new thing for counties. Are going to benefit pretty well from revenue sharing. Townships not so much, but counties did real well.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it.
Second.
Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You're adjourned.